Yo, what's happening, people? It's your boy Jay Myth. I'm just going to break down my track, You Know What to Do, which is available now on my dub pack on Bandcamp. And yeah, it's a little 150 tune, slightly different to maybe a lot of stuff that's out there, but it's quite simple and yeah, I really like it. So let's break it down. So, first of all, this tune, I wanted to make a point of just using one break to be the whole tune and then to try and be creative with that. So this is the break. Let me take off everything. See what, or hear what it sounded like. Now, it is pre-processed slightly. I did do resample it before I got to this point, but yeah, let's just go through the stuff. So I wonder if I've got the whole break. I can show you what it actually sounded like. I don't know. I think I just okay, so that's what the break sounded like after I processed it up. And then, yeah, so I rearranged it to a little jungle pattern, double kick. Use a different part of the snare for these little accents. And then used the first hats and then the second lot and created like a different turnaround for the second bit of the loop. And that kind of just loops around. So in terms of processing, this is just trying to tuck the kick in. Yeah, so it's a bit boomy in the bottom end and there's some spiky stuff because there's a hat layered with it. So I just had to tuck that in a little bit. I've also got a reverb on the kick. It's just to bring back a little bit of that gel from where I cut it off. Just trying to get that sort of like airy vibe back into it because that's kind of the sound that I liked about it before I cut it up. So then snare. So it's kind of an odd snare. It's kind of like a sort of blunt sound. So there's a sharp hat on the top. So that's what this is here. And then this is providing a bit more weight. It has these like two fundamentals, like a tonal one. And that's like the weighty one. So it's trying to layer, trying to big that up without, so I didn't have to add more layers because I was following my little rule that I decided I was going to try and do. Very, very little amount of compression going on there. And then another EQ. What tends to happen is I'll probably have got to like the first two plugins, and then when I come to mix it down, I was like, oh, maybe a little bit more EQ, just like to try and tuck it in. And then a little reverb as well, sort of just to kind of give it a little bit of space and kind of keep that feel. Sometimes when you chop up breaks, they kind of sound blunted. So it's like sometimes it's nice to add a little bit of air back in to sort of try and help gel it back together again. Hats. Same sort of stuff, just softening the harshness. And again, later on, I decided it was too harsh again, added another EQ. I like doing that, just add another EQ because it kind of goes through the stages that you went through to get to the point, and you can sort of go backwards in time and be like, oh no, actually the one before was better. And I've just taken a little bit of a tack off, probably because of the processes that I did beforehand when it was a whole break. sometimes it can bring out, if the hats are really clean, it can bring it out a bit too much. And then this little bit here, I took the snares, pitched them up, and put a delay on the break. So there's a piece of break there that's like from here, pitched up without the kicks in, I think, and pitched up by, I think, an octave. And then I added a delay, and then the delay, what was delayed out, so it started like this. Let me take that off. So it's, yeah, it's just this piece of break that was in the turnaround here, pitched up with some effects on, and it had a delay on it as well. And the delay I bounced and turned into a percussion. Which is side chained. And then this is the edit. So it changes like this. So still the same break. So I was just trying to be creative with the break. So that's like a sneaky way of making like percussion and stuff like that. And I don't think there's any more drums in the whole tune. I think that's literally it. There's this thing here. I think that's just. Oh yeah, so that's the version with the delay on the end. That's what it sounded like. And then I cut that little tail off and turned it into a percussion there. So that's that. So all the drums together are being sent to this bus, which has got a lot on it. A little bit of compression. I like using this a lot. Vintage tape is quite good for just like setting everything back in the background a little bit more. So just a bit of drive on there. I think everything else is stock. Transient shaper, so it's pretty wild without it. Because I've blown it up quite a lot. Again, this is a thing I'll probably come back to and sort out as I've made the tune. Elysia, which isn't doing anything, so that can go off probably. EQ, just making sure there's nothing in the bottom end causing problems or at the very, very top. This one, just providing a bit of mono up to 200. Keeping my correlation and my phase nice. Then I got a soothe. Just on heavy sharpness, but on the soft setting. A little bit more tidying. And then I quite like to distort after using soothe. So it's like softening the frequencies and then distorting them back up. So it's like you're like just adding clean harmonics to a softened sound, if that makes sense. And then a limiter just in case. Oh, okay. I did actually use it to gain into a little bit. I also gained this. I do it quite a lot. I wouldn't do it on anything other than drum and bass, but it's a nice little thing I do. It gives you a different sound to just using limiters all the time and stuff. It's sort of I don't know, it's a little something different. Loads of people will be like, oh, you can't do that. Well, you can. I've done it loads of times, and I've got them signed to major drum and bass labels. So, you know, argue with that. So next one, bass. Nice lot of clicking there. I may have, yeah, this is what's going on here. Okay, cool. So what I just turned off there was I had limiters on so that I could play it out. I'll go through that at the end. But basically, it's just this sound. which is as boring as you like. It's literally a sine with a bit of squaring, which just gives it a bit of that tone, that bite, and then a clipper, and I think, and a bit of EQ to make it less boxy. Yeah, so you can hear that boxiness, it sort of thins it out. And that's literally it. It's just a, I can show you the shape, I guess. I think it's just, it's literally just like a 808, but I've made it in massive. But it's got some tone on it. Now, I did something on this that I don't normally do, which is add bit crusher for the noise, because the noise aspect is a thing that I use loads in my tunes. And I was just kind of trying to work out different ways of using noise. So on this one, I've used like a really mild bit crusher, and then added the distortion just to get that noise a bit more out of the low mid, to remove that sort of boxiness again. And then I've got this rig distortion, it's just a guitar rig, yeah, it's just, I won't bother to go into it because there's not really much in there. It's just it's basically a lot of space and this Van 51. I don't think anything else is on. Oh, and a limiter, and then a lot of EQ. But it's great for adding space to your bass line, especially if you've got something that's just really subby, and you can add extra harmonics too. And then this bass develops as the tune goes on, particularly in this breakdown section, which I'll play. I'll play it from.
You know you must do. You know you must do.
Forgot to put all the bass group stuff on, but you get the idea. It progresses into this version of the bass, which is exactly the same, apart from it's got a little bit of this pitch cut off on, and it's detuned by 75 to give you that kind of like movement, the pulsing movement. And then there's another bass that accompanies it, which is a higher sort of woofy bass thing, which was my attempt at making LSB's bass from Potshot. So shout out to him. And it's the same thing again. It's just changing the speed of how fast it's rotating. So there's that, and then like this tune's really simple. There's nothing really to it. It's just that. I think what's this? This is a wobbly one. This is another exactly the same, but just yeah. So it's just got a different. It's just control the speed again. So it's literally the same patch, even just copied at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 times, whatever. And then I think I just drag and drop the sample into this, There's this, I think I got it off maybe Splice or something, maybe pitched it or something. Flexed, so I stretched it, maybe. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I stretched it. And then I've just got some bongos layered. The You Know What You Must Do box, which is from it's from Da Vinci's Demons, the TV show. The bad guy in that has a crazy voice. There's probably 1,000,001 samples in there if you wanted to go and check that out. This little bongo, which just creates tension. Kind of creepy thing. And that, which is basically another sample, I think. I think this is the same thing. Yeah. So this is from Spinning Records. It's just a kick impact, probably off of Splice again, I imagine. And this little effects. I think that's basically it. Oh, and then a noisy thing. Literally, there's not. I don't think there's anything on any of it really. It's just that's not even processed. It's just EQs and delays and reverb on all of it. That's not processed. That's got a delay on it. All these little bleeps. Just stuff to fill the tune out. But really, it's all about this simple drums and this pad, essentially. Drums, bass, and this pad. So the bass, I'll just go through the bass group quickly. There's not a hell of a lot done on it. So this is a side chain to the kick to let that through. This is a thing where often you can hear it on this higher bass, it's more, but this is an area which has usually got some sort of, it's usually about this sort of place where if you just take a little scoop out, it can open your bass right up and let your drums through way more and give you a lot less hassle when you come to mix it down. So I usually just do a scoop and then just work it up and down and see if it sounds better or worse. It sounded all right wherever I put it there, or whatever, 300-ish, I think it was. So yeah, that's what that's there for. This is a low cut for the bass, low cut to 35 Hertz. You don't need anything below that unless you're in a ridiculously low key, but then if you're in a ridiculously low key, you probably won't hear that in a sound system. And then it also gives you more headroom, so your tune will get louder, easier, when you don't have that information there, because you can't hear it anyway. This is just catching stuff, I think. I don't even know if it's actually doing anything. Yeah, so it's catching the bass to stop it from blowing up too heavy into the limiter. And the limiter is just there so that I know that when I come to do my master processes, I'm not going to have to be like fighting other levels because it's going to be like capped off by the limiter. Did I use it? Sometimes I use other groups. I didn't use any other groups on this one. Like I said, it's a real simple tune. So it's just the master process to go. And really, this one's .300 is usually quite high. I usually go to about 200, but I don't think there's anything there anyway. So I think I just monoed it to keep that weight there. And then this is just a pretty standard setup that I start every tune with, and then I just sort of turn it on and off. Like if it gets too crazy down here, like as long as it's between 0 and +1, you're generally all right. I also do have this imager to check that's just set to mono, so I can check my tune in mono to see if anything phases and disappears, basically. So that's like a bit of a tip. So then I've got some multi-band going on. Probably not that. Oh, there's quite a lot on there. What have I done there? Okay. So this is just like last minute glue. So this will be, I like to use this to control my sub level as well. So we've got that there. Check and you can also check the kick bass relationship really easily that way. We've got this. Yeah, so the low mid of that snare was sticking right out. So I've used this to sort of squash it, tuck it in. Nothing too crazy on here. I've got 0 attack on this, which means that the front of the snare was a little harsh, so I've used that to clip it off. And I've done the same on the top. That's because of those hats, I think. Yeah, they were a little sharp, so that's where I've gone with that, and then just balanced it out with the gains. Another music cue, just doing a little bit. Generally, when I get to this point, I'll have this open, and I'll just pick through. And if there's dips, like, you know, okay, try a little bit of that, try a little bit of this, see what's working. If it's better, worse, flick on and off. And this is what I've come up with, the high end. This here, though, is interesting because this is set to 35,000 hertz, which the human hearing system doesn't go up that high. But weirdly, because of the shape of the slope, when you gain at that high, you get this weird, like, nice fizzy top end that comes in. Then this sneaky thing, which is a bit like a dynamic EQ type thing that helps out, so finds problem areas and you can recover and like sort them out. So it's bringing up some of the mid-range and the top end on that brightening bit. This is adding a little bit of 16K, so just that top end again. So I probably made it quite dull, and then at the end I've got to try and come back with it. And then these are my 3 limiters to make it loud. And then that's basically that. So yeah, here's the tune from start to finish. I have to turn my limiters off though, because it'll blow up.
You know you must do. You know you must do. You know you must do.
Basically, you get the idea. So yeah, that was You Know What to Do. That was the breakdown. I've been Myth. This is on the Dub Pack V2, available now for the merch section of my Bandcamp. There's still a few copies of the V1 Dub Pack as well, if you want to grab that. The link will be in the description down below. Peace.